playing varsity basketball. You played for a couple years. You dealt with some injuries. What was it like dealing with the injuries that you dealt with and just deciding that you didn't want to play basketball anymore?
So I I I'll start with it was a lot. I will say like um basketball, like I told you how my dad introduced it to me. I did it with my brother. It was kind of like in life how you'd always have like you create your thing, like you have God, you have your family, and then everyone, I would say after God and family, everyone has probably something different after. For a long period of my life, it was God, family, basketball. So to from my first, I hurt my hip, both hips actually in high school, my hip flexors. I was on crutches for a minute. Those are my first injuries. First time really getting hurt and having to sit out. I was like, kind of like, okay. But I was like, I'll be fine. Um, then my sophomore year, this was we had a lot of talent coming up that year because I will say like my class 2018 was really strong too. That was with Zay Stevens, Robbie Hicks, and all them. But we had a really strong class moving forward. So my sophomore year, we were pushing it, pushing it, pushing. We were practicing all the time. That's when I started. I was dunking like towards the. I could go off 2 feet my freshman year, but in the end of my freshman year, going to sophomore year, that's when I was like coming off one. That's when I was actually able to do it in game and stuff. So that's when I was really like, okay, like time to take it serious. Because I was really like an uncoordinated kid. So when I got to that point, I was like, man, this is it. So sophomore year, we're at a tournament at Stetson. Up until this point, I was like, I didn't see anyone. We were waxing everyone we played. I went up for a dunk. It was at the Stetson camp, and I just basically went up and I like jumped. And when I left the ground, I just like it just hurt it felt like a pop. Like you heard it almost sound like a rubber band snap. And like came down and I was like screaming. I won't say the words I was screaming, but I was screaming. And I remember like everyone was like gasping, like walking away. And I remember my coach like immediately running out and like covering my leg. He was like looking at me. He's like, "You're okay," like talking to me. I was like, my leg hurts so bad. They were like, no. Um, and I remember the ambulance getting there after I laid there for like 20 minutes. My parents weren't there. So my friend's mom, Zay's mom, Letitia, really nice lady. She was with me that whole time. Uh, I remember her coming and like making sure I was good. And I was like, why won't anybody see my leg? But then I remember the ambulance got there and the paramedics like start the IV. They start asking you questions, checking your blood pressure. And I was like, they're doing a lot. I just hurt my leg. Like, I don't know what's wrong. And I just remember looking at my leg and it was just basically I fractured my tibia. Is it it wasn't a compound, but basically what happened was the bone that's like under your knee, your patellar, there's basically a tendon attaching those. And I basically, that tendon just pulled way too hard and the tibia just got pulled up. So if you can imagine, like you have your knee, I just had another like big bump in my knee. So obviously it was broken. The bone was basically poking the skin. It was pretty ugly. But once the medicine kicked in and my adrenaline was like still up, I was like, fine. Got to the hospital, stayed overnight. That was my first surgery. And I was like, I'm okay. It's only my sophomore year. Hopes are high. Um, Fast forward to September that same year, Titusville, Ohio. I went up for a scrimmage. Jordan. He actually played with us on the Bulls, so that's another one of my boys. Jordan, Cario, he actually at UG right now. He's doing really well. But we went up to play them at their high school, the UCF. There was a UCF recruiter there, and we're like getting up and down. I'm like, man, I'm feeling good. And boom, same thing kind of happens on a fast break. This time, it was really bad though because it was a compound. So when you have a compound break like I had, basically your skin breaks and the bone, like says what's up to the world, comes out.
Mm.
Um, That was probably the most gruesome one. And I remember they brought me in to they brought me into the emergency room, and the doctor, the first thing he says to me, which I don't know why you would say this to a kid, but first thing he says to me is, I don't know if you're gonna play basketball again. You're probably not. And like, so immediately, boom, that was like, I don't know, that was a lot for me. So like that junior year, going to that junior year, I was being wheeled around school. Eventually I made it to crutches and a walker, but that was probably one of the hardest years I've had so far. And I'm pretty young, but basketball was a big part of my life. And so to have it taken in that manner, especially when it's all I had known, I was just watching TV, sitting on the couch, couldn't really do much else, but wasn't eating, that was it was just a really hard time. So moving forward, I did, coming my senior year, I had a really big choice, what I was going to do. I talked to my physical therapist. I worked really hard. I did swim first to get my body right. And I winded up being able to, I did like 2 tournaments in July getting into my senior year of AU. And then I actually was able to play in my senior year. So that was a lot of fun. At least like I wasn't back to full 100%, but I was still able to, move around, and it was just nice to live out my senior year. And that was my senior year. During that winter tournament, we went to Kingdom of the Sun. That's where OCP usually goes. Windermere. A lot of really big schools in Florida usually go. And we did really well, and I made all tournament team. I think that was like kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. Kind of like I'm good now. Like it was like I feel good. I'm fulfilled. So that's when I think it kind of started settling that I feel okay if I'm going to give it up right now, because it's clearly a lot of my body. But after that, I was like, I remember my coach was like, so we got to try to start talking to schools and sending film out. I was like, I'm good. I feel like I accomplished a lot, got some trophies here and there, got to play with cool guys like you and the boys at Rockledge. So I was okay with giving it up, especially because it was on my terms at that point.
Definitely. I feel like that actually just makes me happy to hear that, because a lot of people, they don't, like, when they go through things like that, they don't get to go out on their own terms, like you said, and they don't get to feel that gratifying moment like you said that you got to feel. So getting to hear that you got to go out like the way that you kind of wanted to, that makes me feel good as a friend, and just hearing it from afar. Like I couldn't, like, just coming back from smaller injuries like rolling your ankle. I had knee surgery before, but like just hearing what you went through makes me feel like all that is just so like minute compared to breaking your leg twice. Like, oh, I mean, you definitely deserve the props for even trying to play. A lot of people probably wouldn't have even tried to play again. So definitely happy to hear that for sure.